Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayene Shatadrutim Yam Vikshya Charu Sarvangim Kishorim Shushto Alakrita Parikramantim Udvahe Chakame Gni Shukim Eva Samudrim Deva Devokta Upayeme Shatadritim Yam Vikshachara Sarvangim Kishurim Sushvalakrita Parikramantim Udvahe Chakamegnis Shukim Eva Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayeme Shatadritim Yam Vikshachara Sarvangim Kishurim Sushvalakrita Parikramantim Udvahe Chakamegni Shukim Eva Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayeme Shatadritim Yam Vikshachara Sarvangim Kishurim Sushvalakrita Parikramantim Udvahe Chakamegni Shukim Eva
Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayeme Shatadrutim Yadvikshya Charu Sarvangim Kishorim Shushvalankritam Parikramantim Udvahe Chakamegni Shukim Eva Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayeme Shatadrutim Yam Vikshya Charu Sarvangim Kishorim Shushvalankritam Parikramantim Udvahe Chakamegni Shukim Eva Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayeme Shatadrutim Yam Vikshya Charu Sarvangim Kishorim Shushvalankritam Parikramantim Udvahe
Samudrim unto the daughter of the ocean Deva Devoktam being advised by the supreme demigod Lord Brahma Upayeme married Shatadrutim of the name Shatadruti Yam whom Vishya,
Vishya,
seeing.
seeing.
Charu,
Charu,
very attractive.
very attractive.
Sarvangim,
Sarvangim,
all the features of the body.
all the features of the body.
Kishorim,
Kishorim,
youthful.
youthful.
Sushto,
Sushto,
sufficiently.
sufficient.
Alakrita,
Kritam,
decorated with ornaments.
decorated with ornaments.
Parikramantim,
Parikramantim,
circumambulating.
circumambulating.
Udvahe,
Vahe,
in the marriage ceremony.
in the marriage ceremony.
Chakame,
Chakame,
being attracted.
being attracted.
Agni,
Agni,
the fire
the
god.
fire god.
Shukim,
Shukim,
unto Shuki.
unto Shuki.
Eva,
Eva,
like.
like.
Translation. Maharaj Barishat, henceforward known as Prachina Bharati, was ordered by the supreme demigod, Lord Brahma, to marry the daughter of the ocean named Shatadruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful, and she was very young. She was decorated with the proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Shuki. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Sushvalamkritam is significant. According to the Vedic system, when a girl is married, she is very profusely and gorgeously decorated with costly saris and jewelry. And during the marriage ceremony, the bride circumambulates the bridegroom 7 times. After this, the bridegroom and bride look at one another and become attracted for life. When the bridegroom finds the bride very beautiful, the attraction between them immediately becomes very strongly fixed. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, men and women are naturally attracted to one another, and when they are united by marriage, that attraction becomes very strong. Being so strongly attracted, the bridegroom attempts to set up a very nice homestead and eventually a good field for producing grains. Then children come, then friends, and then wealth. In this way, the male becomes more and more entangled in the material conceptions of life, and he begins to think, this is mine, and it is I who am acting. In this way, the illusion of material existence is perpetuated. The words Shukam, Shukim, Eva are also significant, for the fire god Agni became attracted by the beauty of Shatadruti while she was circumambulating the bridegroom Prachanabharhi, just as he had previously been attracted to the beauty of Shuki, the wife of Saptarishi. When the fire god had been present long ago at the assembly of Saptarishi, he was attracted by the beauty of Shuki when she was circumambulating in the same way. Agni's wife, named Swaha, took the form of Shuki and enjoyed sex life with Agni. Not only the fire god Agni, but the heavenly god Indra, and sometimes even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, all very highly situated demigods, are subject to being attracted by sex at any time. The sex drive is so strong in the living entities that the whole material world is running on sex attraction only. And it is due to sex attraction that one remains in the material world and is obliged to accept different types of bodies. The attraction of sex life is more clearly explained in the next verse. Samudrim devadevam tam upiyeme shatadritim Yan Vikshachara Sarvangiyam, Kishorim Sushtalanvitam, Parikramantin Udvahe, Chakamegni Sukhim Iva. Translation. Maharaj Barishat, henceforward known as Prachina Bari, was ordered by the supreme demigod Lord Brahma to marry the daughter of the ocean named Shatadruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful, and she was very young. She was decorated with the proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire-god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Shuki. Today, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Jiname, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gaura Dadi Pacharne, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastutyale Chatarne, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vajkam Trivis Chakripa Sindhu Evacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebi Namo Namaha. Yes, so this is a very important instructive verse. First of all, the basic point which is made is about, in general, the attraction between men and women, or one could say the tendency to be attracted to the opposite sex, or even nowadays, of course, is just the tendency to be attracted to sex life in some way or other. It's so strong, it's like uniquely strong, actually, amongst all the attractions of this material world, all of which are very significant. But of all of them, the attraction, as Prabhupada says here, the attraction of sex life, and meaning in broad sense, in the broadest sense, that attraction is just really the fundamental and foundational factor of existence in the material world. And it's really, it rules. It rules. Even other attractions for money, for fame, prominence, for comfort, and all these types of things, just different types of things which people find pleasurable or feel pleasurable within the material world. Generally, most or all of them are sort of, you could say, serving the attraction to sex life. Just as an example, if a gentleman has enough money, then oftentimes he becomes attractive to the opposite sex. If some other gentleman does not have sufficient money, then he is not attractive so much, or maybe simply not attractive to the opposite sex. So all these things are there, like the matter of dressing, that in so many ways people dress and decorate themselves in some cases, and so on, ultimately really to attract the opposite sex, or to be sexually attractive. This is the story of material life. And if you take that out of material life, then, sex life in the broad sense, then what is material life? It's really just practically empty, or it's really quite, whatever's left is really quite insufficient. Insufficient in terms of being attractive and giving people the pleasure that they're looking for. So it's there even in all living entities. In all living entities it's there. And in the famous song, Gauranga Polite Habe, in the second verse, which is glorifying Lord Nityananda, it said, Arkabe Nitai Chandya Karana Hoime Samsara Vasana Mo Kabe Tucha Habe, which means that, well, it's a question, Arkabe Nitai Chand, Kabe meaning when. When will Lord Nityananda Karana Hoime, when will he give me his mercy? And I will know that I've got his mercy when or if samsara vasana or kabe tucha habe, my attractions to material enjoyment just become tucha, means basically and certainly insignificant, but so insignificant that they're just practically don't exist. They can just be overlooked. So when my attractions to material life become like that, so that I have none, really, or whatever traces may be there, that they can just be overlooked effortlessly, then I can know that Lord Nityananda has been merciful to me. So the particular term in that verse is samsara vasana mora. Mora meaning my. Samsara vasana. Samsara, of course, is the cycle of birth and death in this material world. And so the particular word which to be focused on is vasana, or samsara vasana. And vasana, it can be and it is often translated just as material enjoyment or sense gratification. That's the basic idea. But ultimately, samsara vasana means, the significance of the term is that it's those types of attractions towards material existence. The types, Shri Radha Ramanuja, Shri Giri Govardhan, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So the types of material attractions which keep a living entity in samsara vasana, mora, in this case my particular attractions. So the point is, as Prabhupada says here, that the sex drive is so strong in the living entities, not just the human beings, not just the men and the women, human beings, but it's so strong in the living entities. And in this way, as Prabhupada continues the sentence, the whole material world is running on that only. Sex attraction only. And it's due to sex attraction that one, meaning a human being, remains in the material world, but ultimately that all living entities remain in the material world. So, yes, samsara vasana means the type of attractions which appear in all living entities, which keep all living entities within the material world. The fundamental, most foundational forms of those material attractions, which are found in all the species. It's not just the humans have these types of attractions, or particularly the attractions of sex life. It's not just the human beings. If we observe just around us, we see what's going on. The dogs, the cats, the birds, and even the big animals, the lions and tigers, the cows and bulls, even sort of what to us may be very unattractive looking creatures like. We were up the other day in Richards Bay, and there they have hippopotamuses which come out. There's a lake just right next to the town or city, and in there live crocodiles and hippopotamuses, and there are signs, look out for the crocodiles and hippopotamus. Yes, and the one devotee was saying that just in the last few years he's seen crocodiles and hippopotamuses coming out by the main road. So anyway, hippopotamus particularly and crocodile, they're certainly not very beautiful looking. And hippopotamuses look sort of very gross. But within their species, the males and the females, they just get attracted. They get very attracted. And in this way, well, ultimately the species continue on that basis. So this is samsara vasana. And of course here we are now, we're in the human form of life. And we're so fortunate to have the gift of Krishna consciousness. But we understand, generally we understand, that actually we have been in all the species of life. It's not simply that we're human now and we always have been. But we've been in all species of life, maybe many times in all the species. And here we are in this species, and we're feeling these attractions. Sometimes it depends on the situation, but the tendency is there. And of course it's most important, you could say, in the human species, because the human form of life means the opportunity to get out of this material world and go back to Godhead, which doesn't really exist in other species. As Prabhupada mentioned, that if you tell a human being, you can explain to a human being how we're not this body. But Prabhupada said, if you tell a dog that, listen, you are not that body, the dog may simply bark at you, and it's meaningless to him. It's actually literally meaningless to him. So the other species of life, they are just sort of doomed, you could say, to remain in the material world, in whatever species they're in, but in so many other species also, until they get the human form of life. And it's really only then that they'll get the opportunity to get out of the material world. Otherwise, no chance. Just too much conditioned, just too much bewildered by the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord. So therefore it's very important in the human form of life that, of course, that we apply ourselves in Krishna consciousness, first of all, but that we're very careful about these different types of attractions, and ultimately the attraction towards sex life. Otherwise, if one remains attracted to sex life, and as Prabhupada says here, it's due to sex attraction that one remains in the material world and is obliged to accept different types of bodies. So that's there, and nobody can say that I'm not influenced by that at all. You know, we were told many years ago, I think really, 50 or more than 50 years ago, we were told at least that one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, you know, Krishna consciousness is so nice that I don't feel any attraction to sex life. And Srila Prabhupada, we were told, answered, oh, there is something wrong with you? So to claim like that or think like that is just foolishness. And it is just a matter of intelligence that we become able to recognize our shortcomings because we have them. We have them and they have us. And until we get free from their control, we're going to be stuck here in the material world. And we should not think, even though we're devotees, living as devotees, maybe for many years, but none of us should think that it's all right, don't worry about it. You know, I'm not affected by these things. Maya is so expert and Krishna is so expert that if one does start thinking like that I have no more attraction to this or that, the typical attractions of material life, and particularly attraction to sex life, then, well, one has to recognize it. One has to recognize it and take action and really try and cultivate Krishna consciousness and understandings so that one appreciates that actually it is not good, not just not good, it's dangerous. So, and the example given here is very interesting, that, well, the tradition was, and I don't think it is nowadays, that a young man and young lady, when there was an arrangement for them to get married, which generally was made by the parents, and at least that's how it was working. The arrangements were made by the parents who would marry whom, and then the couple who are going to be married, at least traditionally, they would only meet at the point mentioned here in the purport. They would only meet, they would only see each other for the first time in the course of the marriage ceremony. That's how it used to be. Until then, you know, particularly the ladies, the young ladies were kept under such extremely protected conditions that they wouldn't go out roaming around here and there in the shopping malls and going to social events and all that sort of thing. But they'd be kept out of the public eye. And even the married ladies, like at least in sort of higher level families, and Prabhupada said the same thing about his mother. She would never go out in public ever. If she did, I mean sort of publicly, here I am. If she ever did, she had to go somewhere to visit somebody. She would be carried in a palanquin, carried by 2 or 4 men. And the palanquin would have curtains on all sides. So, yes, like that, things were going on. But here, at least Prabhupada's talking about that more traditional type of arrangement, that the bridegroom and bride, they only really look at one another at a certain point in the marriage ceremony. And then they just really sort of take each other's physical form into their hearts, so to speak. And then Prabhupada says, after this, the bridegroom and bride look at one another and become attracted for life. When the bridegroom finds the bride very beautiful, the attraction between them immediately becomes very strongly fixed. Yes. So, this is how it would work. Of course, nowadays, well, as that man said, the times, what he said was the times are changing, but the times have changed. Of course, they continue to change, but they have changed from those days. And therefore, in so many cases, the young ladies are just allowed or even encouraged to just mix here and there and go here and there and present themselves physically in sort of attractive types of ways so they can attract some young man and then, see what it leads to. But the problem with that, well, there are many problems, but one of the many problems is of somehow or other being taken advantage of by some young man who not interested in marriage, just wants to enjoy the body of the young lady, and that's just spoils the young lady so badly. It's really tragic. Yeah, but that's today. Welcome to Kali Yuga. That really is the situation today. But the thing is, as Prabhupada explains, that when they really become attracted to each other, be it in the very traditional sense of in the course of the marriage ceremony, or just when they meet here or there, wherever it is, and get to know each other, etc., then the effect on the man, Prabhupada mentions here, being so strongly attracted, the bridegroom attempts to set up a nice homestead. Interesting use of the term, but yes, a nice residence, and eventually a good field for producing grains. Well, living in Chatsworth, or any city really, you're not going to find a good field for producing grains. But what you are going to find is a good job. Try to find a good job so you get good money, and then you can purchase grains, etc., and all other things which are required. And then, of course, children come, and friends come, wealth comes. At least ideally, this is how it works, and this is how people want it to work. Of course, it's not so easy in material life to become wealthy. Sure. Really, to become wealthy is very difficult. I saw in the news just a matter of a week ago, some boat which had been confiscated from a Russian, some Russian wealthy person, is for sale for they think $100 million. And the report said there's probably only between 50 and 100 people in the world who might possibly buy such a boat. I mean, who has $100 million to start off with? But just for a boat, there are other necessities before getting a big boat that people will want to take care of first. So a boat is sort of like, it's a luxury item, kind of an extravagance. So to become wealthy, like really wealthy, is very difficult. There was the one-time richest person in the world, Mr. J. Paul Getty. He said that you cannot be considered wealthy if you can still calculate how much you have. Then you're not wealthy. If you've got so much, which is, it's changing, of course, every day or even every hour or even every minute, in this way or that, buying and selling and etc., etc. So if you can still calculate, sit down and list out, okay, I've got this and that and something else and so many things which are worth X, Y, and Z. If you can still calculate how much you're actually worth, then you're not wealthy. You're just sort of normal. But only if you can't. It's just too much and it's changing and just increasing moment by moment, then you're wealthy. Like they say, if you need to worry about the cost of buying a Rolls Royce, you're not wealthy enough to buy a Rolls Royce. Just shouldn't bother with it. So, but anyway, life on the material level is like that. And Prabhupada mentions these points about getting a nice house. Normally it's not up to the wife to provide the house. At least traditionally it's up to the husband to provide the house and to provide income. And traditionally the wife will be at home, taking care of the home, and children come, so then she's taking care of the children also. Otherwise, the house and the income and the facilities, the furniture and all of this and that, those things the husband is meant to take care of. And Prabhupada's presenting it in these terms in the purport here. So then he says, children come, friends, wealth. In this way, the male becomes more and more entangled in the material conceptions of life and starts to think, this is mine, that is mine, and it is me, I am the one who is acting. But in a sense, at least, ultimately, of course, it's the modes of material nature, which, what verse is it? In the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that the person, what's the verse number? 27, is it? Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's it. You got it. Well done. No, this particular one I was thinking of, which is the same one Mataji was thinking of, it's 327. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudana kart aham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. This is what Prabhupada's referring to in the purport there, that the person, the man particularly, who's meant to be responsible for all these particular aspects of the picture of household life. And then he thinks, this is mine and it is I who am acting. Little does he know it's the material nature which is acting. And it acts, of course, it acts according to our desires, depends on the situation, but it also acts in terms of our karma. Like here we are, each one of us can see, we can see each other, but some people, after some years, not being born like that, but after some years they become blind. You know, the famous singer Stevie Wonder, until he was, I think, 20 or 21, his vision was normal. Then suddenly, I don't know what happened, but something happened, and he became completely blind. And he remains completely blind. And so like this, these things happen. Means it's not just your desire, but it's your karma. Because of your karma, you're meant to gain something, you're meant to lose something, and it works like that. And even if you lose your sight, if you've had your sight for so many years, but then you lose it, surely your desire, as your sight fails, your desire will be, I don't want to lose my sight, but it goes. In fact, we have one devotee in Cape Town, Jayananda Prabhu, some of you might remember him. And he could see. Not very well, but he could definitely see. He had to use glasses, but it wasn't that bad. But then he lost his vision. And now he's blind, and he needs a dog to take him around. And who else is it? Rati and Krishna Prabhu. Previously his sight was bad, and now it's extremely bad. So, when it's your karma, then you just lose or maybe gain, whatever it may be. Yes. So, like this, people identify. Karta aham, that verse 327 says. Karta means to do. And aham, I am the one who's doing. But actually, it's the modes of material nature. Sometimes we give the example that I can lift my arm, there it goes, and I can let it come down and stop it, and then let it come right down. And we think, yes, I'm doing that, but it's the modes, actually. It's the modes of material nature. On the basis of my desire, my arm goes up, but it's the modes of material nature which make it go up. Otherwise, I'm a tiny, minuscule spirit soul within the body. So anyway, like this, the illusions of material existence are there. And the primary illusion is this attraction, at least shall we say traditionally, between the genders. It's so foundational, it is the foundational factor, actually. So, and in Bhagavad Gita, in the 15th chapter, Lord Krishna describes the material world as being a reflection, a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. It's sort of like everything is there, basically, but it's all upside down. And it's all distorted. So the way it's expressed is that if you have a tree right on the bank of a body of water like a lake, then the reflection, it may, when the water is completely smooth, the reflection may look exactly like the tree, but it's upside down. And when something is upside down, then the highest point of the real thing is at the bottom point of the reflection. And in the spiritual world, the highest thing, or the very highest, is the relationship of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna. That's the actual pinnacle of existence in the spiritual realm. And conversely, in the material world, which is the upside down, perverted reflection, The lowest point is a man and a woman, or a male and a female. At lowest in that the person becomes most degraded by that and becomes most entangled by that. And it's really the thing which is of the least value and even the most danger, particularly for someone who's actually trying to come to grips with life and get out of this material world. So that's all being emphasized here. The example is given of Agni, and Prabhupada also mentions Agni, Indra, the same thing happens with him. Sometimes Lord Brahma, sometimes Lord Shiva. And you don't get higher, particularly than Indra and Brahma and Shiva. And Agni is also a very high-level demigod. But there are descriptions of all of them, each one of them. Here we have the description of Agni being attracted to a young lady who he was actually involved in the conducting of the marriage ceremony of. He's actually the fire, the sacrificial fire, very important, essential part of the marriage ceremony. So that's him, that's Agni. So in the actual marriage ceremony, he became attracted. Prabhupada, in very discreet terms, says he became so attracted to her that he desired her company. But we should know it doesn't mean he just wanted to chat with her, hang out with her or something. He actually wanted to engage in sexual activity with her. And yes, so the same thing is happening with him here in this marriage ceremony also. So it's a problem in this material world. And it's a problem which afflicts even people who, by the standards of the material world, are as elevated as it's possible to be, at least in material terms. So therefore, in our efforts in Krishna consciousness, we need to be conscious of this and be careful about this particular point. We need to and really take shelter of the Lord. If we're sheltered sufficiently, then these problems headed by that problem, but all the other problems along with it, they all become less and less. And ultimately, when one is completely sheltered, then one becomes free totally from these problems and is situated on the transcendental level, ready to go back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any comments or questions? Jai Satchidananda Prabhu.
Thank you so much. You mentioned when purport like Indra and Brahma and Shiva, they succumb to this. I was thinking of the verse in chapter 2. The senses are so strong and impetuous that they forcefully drive away the person of discrimination who's trying to control them.
Right. Even one of the senses. Yes, right. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita warns us in different ways. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. It's lust only, which is born of the modes of passion. Yeah.
There's another the Atomic Son Pumsa, 61, 62, chapter 2. While contemplating the object of the sense, there was attachment.
Yes, that's chapter 2, verse, was it 56? Let's just check.
162.
somewhere around there. Or is it 62? Yeah. Jayata Shanpumsa. Sangastisha Vijayate Sangatsa Jayate Kamat Kroda Vijayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. Means they want to enjoy whatever it is they're now feeling attracted or they're now attached to from contemplating. So now they actually actively engage with that. And so, but what is the result? Of course, materialistic people think that, we contemplate the objects of the senses, we become attached to them within our minds, and then from that attachment, lust develops, then we try to enjoy them, and then what's the next thing that happens? Well, the people think we become happy. That's what they think. We enjoy one, whether it's a member of the opposite sex or whether it's whatever it may be, some sort of enjoyable object. We get it and we enjoy it. And the result is, Krishna says, Kamat Krodho Vijayate, that from lust, from actually enjoying these things or trying, anger arises. Why anger? Because we are eternal spiritual persons, and our taste, what ultimately can really please us, in that sense, in real terms, is not some material object, which is something a lot lower than what we are. It's only being engaged in spiritual activity that happiness will come from performing some activity. Otherwise, for the spirit soul, material enjoyment frustrates. Because it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. Or it's here now and it's gone in a few minutes. Something like that. So therefore, from lust means from acting on the desires and trying to actually enjoy. Anger arises. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh.
Yes, that other interaction you mentioned with Prabhupada and the disciple. And Prabhupada said, is something wrong with him there? I was thinking, where did Prabhupada say this? He said, there's impulse, agitation, the sense of agitators till we die.
Yes, right. There's the story of, it's Akbar, I think. Akbar, the emperor, Muslim emperor. He asked his Hindu sort of minister, when will these attractions for the opposite sex go away? At what age? How old do you have to be? And his name was it Birbal or Gopal? Birbal. He said, no, they never go away. Even when you're really old, even when you're on the edge of death. And Akbar said, no, couldn't be like that. And so Birbal took him to the house of a man who was dying, was on his deathbed and is just about to depart. And he's just, that man, the dying man is just some ordinary man. But suddenly in comes the emperor. And, when does the emperor visit some ordinary person? He never does. So there's the man dying, and he says, what? The emperor's come to see me. And he was looking at him like amazed. But then, if I remember correctly, the emperor's daughter came in, a beautiful young lady, and he's looking at the emperor, and in comes the beautiful young lady, and his vision shifted to her. And then Birbal told her, okay, you get the idea? Yeah, not until you're actually dead. Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.